Welcome to Sacred Harmony, the space where inner wisdom meets real world transformation. Today, we are joined by the luminous Ashmita Aurora, a spiritual teacher and transformation guide who helps people move through life's turning points with grace and grounded presence. Together, we'll dive into what true manifestation really means beyond vision boards and affirmations, into the deeper art of aligning with life's flow. Welcome to the show, Ashmita. It's such an honor to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
Mhm. So, Ashmita, manifestation is a word we hear everywhere, but often misunderstood. So, how do you define true manifestation?
Yeah. We've been taught that manifestation is accumulating objects or accumulating achievements from the outside world. And if those things, if those achievements are taken away from you, what are you left with? Then you're in a state of feeling contracted. You're in a state of feeling lack of, or almost as if you don't have enough. So, true manifestation is understanding that the objects and the achievements are just symbols that we have assigned a meaning to. True manifestation is understanding that nobody can take the feeling that you feel away from you. So, if you manifest from a place of wanting to experience a certain feeling, then that's where true manifestation comes through. It's not through the objects because we've been taught, like you said, it's a buzzword right now. So we've been taught that it's vision boards or it's affirmations or I have this car, I have this, but it's the feeling. What's the reason behind you wanting that? Well, what do you really, really want to feel from it?
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think that desire itself can sometimes block the very thing we are trying to attract?
Yeah, because what happens is when you're lusting for something, when you are desiring for something, essentially what you are saying is that you don't have it, that item, you don't have it, which is understandable. You could say, "Well, I don't have it, so that's why." But what ends up happening is you separate yourself from that very thing. And if you separate yourself, then what you're doing is putting it on a different frequency altogether. And in order to align and have true alignment, it has to be on that same frequency, so you can't be apart from it, you have to become one with it. So when you're able to embody that emotion, the state of being that have that fulfillment, then those things can attract you quicker. But it's kind of, here's a simple way of putting it. There's say that there's a guy and he's desiring you and he's seems desperate. It's such a turnoff, isn't it? Because you know what I'm saying? So so in that sense, when you see that desperation, it doesn't make you it makes you almost repel it, or it makes you feel like there's a offsetting because the gardening it and then the not having it are not on equal platforms. So, people might say, well, if they're so desperate, then there must be something about me that's better than them. And so it must be easier or I can get better than them. And, it goes into your head in different ways, but it does the same thing with manifestation and frequency as well. That's just a very real life circumstance where you can see this taking place.
hmm Yeah, that's such a refreshing take. Manifestation not as control, but as communication with the greater intelligence of life.
Yeah.
And you help people navigate endings and awakenings. How does surrender play a role in manifesting something new?
Yeah, because the thing is they have to see when the manifestations are coming in, these are experiences that they've experienced, and sometimes they're attached to a certain vibration, and the universe, the world, God, however you want to look at it, is showing them that there's something else to be experienced. Now, these different experiences and different frequencies that you are on, they have their own, it's almost like opening up another game level where those things have their own benefits. There's other stages. And so to help them see that this is not the end, there is something more. And sometimes it's very hard for people to see that when they're in a state of loss or grief or going through big transitions in their life because they've not experienced it before. So it's like we say, the unknown. They're going into another unknown, and that's where they're gonna from again. So we have to contract ourselves and experience hardship. We have to experience loss. We have to experience grieving in order to be able to bring it back out of us and allow for that flow to come through.
Yes, 100%. And how does, like, have you seen how resistance to letting go keeps people stuck in cycles?
Ah, it's the biggest, when we say letting go, this is something that I say, and some wisdom that I've been able to channel is that there is only ever one problem in this world, and there is only ever one solution. The problem is always attachment, and the solution is always detachment. Always. You could look at any, and people could say, "Well, how do you solve that if, say, somebody is sick? Or how do you solve that if it's something out of your control?" Well, change the way that you're, change your environment if you can, and if you can't, then change the way that you're perceiving it. And if you can't change the way that you're perceiving it, then change the way that you've assigned meaning to it to begin with. So, because meaning is what we assign it, and meaning is typically something that we, um assigned to it unknowingly because it's through our different facets of our own experiences or upbringing or culture or whatever have you. So these things are, they're not truths. They're not universal truths. The truth is that you always at all points have the ability and the power to assign meaning in in your own way and reinvent yourself and your life and the way that you want to experience life. You That power's always been and always will be in your hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and beautifully said. It seems that surrender isn't giving up, but opening up to what's next.
Yeah. Yeah, it's knowing that there's always more. There's always more that's going to come.
Yeah. And in a world obsessed with instant results, how can someone practice patience while still holding faith in their vision?
Well, you don't have to be picky because if you are wanting something, if you want to experience something, then that means that you already know what that feels like. And so you tap into that vibration of that feeling and you hold on to that feeling. So it's not patient. You can feel the feeling. You don't need the car to feel the feeling behind the car. You can feel that instantly. And that's really the trick is tapping into that and keeping it with you and keeping it with you on a day to day through the challenges, through the ups and downs, and not separating from it.
Yes, definitely. And is there a daily practice or mindset shift that helps anchor that trust?
Yeah, I would say you have to understand why you think things and you have to understand why you do things in your life. And I think that one of the things that a lot of people don't do is evaluate that for themselves. So if you actually looked at your life and you thought, how much do I do out of fear, guilt, and obligation? How much do I how many goals do I set for myself that are out of fear, guilt, and obligation? And you're gonna start to understand that half of the things that you're saying that you don't really want from a very expansive, a very aligned state. It's kind of like if you're planting a apple seed, you're gonna grow an apple tree. You're not gonna grow a grapefruit tree. Where you're not gonna, so if you are planting with the root is based in fear, guilt, and obligation, then you will sprout more of that. So when you're thinking about manifestation, when you're thinking about the things that you want, really daily ask yourself. but where is this coming from? How am I living my life? What is the root? What seed did I plant? Or what seed has been planted for me? And now I'm in a state of understanding that I can uproot this and replant that seed.
Yes, absolutely. So many people manifest from fear, trying to escape discomfort. How can we tell if our intentions come from ego or essence?
Yeah. So see, ego has gotten a bad rap. It's not ego is not something to be feared. Ego, the way that I've channeled it is everything and anything that you have absorbed or learned through your senses. The time where this actually becomes a perceived problem would be when you start to attach yourself to thinking that you are just that ego, that you are limited by your senses. And so it goes back to that contraction feeling and that expansion feeling. If you're doing things out of fear, guilt, and obligation, you are in a state of contraction. If you are not, and you understand that, hey, I want to experience this, but I'm not attached to it, because you can hold that frequency and allow things to come to you that make you feel a certain way, then you'll feel expansive, right? Because nothing can get you down. But it's that moment that you start attaching yourself. And another real life example I can give for this is when somebody says, you know, doctors are successful. So I'm going to become a doctor because my family views that as success. I view that as success. The society does. And you have now just equated your wealth or your self-worth to being a doctor, something outside of you, which is a trap because then that's the contraction, right? Because then now you've limited yourself to only that one thing. And so it's realizing that when you're doing this, are you manifesting out of a sense of fear and contraction? Get to know yourself. This is why you'll hear know thyself so much. You really, really need to get into contact with your true self, not what uh, society, community, all of that has told you that you are.
Hmm. Yes. And once we do realize that, how can we realign our energy?
It's that inner compass. We all have it, and it's something that should be utilized day in and day out. And it's when you're thinking, when you're doing, when you're being, understand where what you feel inside of your body. Do you feel contracted or expanding? It's actually so simple. It always comes back to the same core universal truths. It's just that we as humans have overcomplicated it for ourselves. So it really is just following that inner compass, understanding fear, guilt, obligation, yes or no. Do I feel expansive or do I feel contracted? That's your inner compass as you move through life. And that doesn't mean that you don't do things that make you feel scared. You can do things that make you feel scared, but it's where is it coming from? What place does it come from?
Hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. And that distinction between forcing and flowing is such a key to inner peace and creativity power. And you speak of manifestation as a spiritual initiation. What does the journey reveal about who we truly are?
We are all always in a state of manifestation, whether we know it or not is the difference. Our frequency or vibration is continuously creating our reality. And so in that sense, manifestation is something that we've been told that you have to mm, do an output for, but our frequency in itself is manifestation. So it's truly just when you're switching that manifestation. And that's just one angle because our purpose here on earth is just to expand ourselves further. So sometimes we get into those contracted states, and that's where those traps come in. So when we start to manifest and we're going through that fear, guilt, and obligation, there's going to be times in our life where we get so contracted. And if you keep contracting, eventually we're going to combust. And when you do, then the light has to come through. So sometimes these things are meant to take us down a path that gets harder and harder and harder. And that's manifestation as a whole. It's not always, like I said, the things that we want, but we're doing it. We're constantly in a state of it.
Mm-hmm. Yes, definitely. And for someone standing at the edge of change right now, what's one message you'd want them to remember?
Remember that when you're in a state of change, that it is a door opening, even if it feels like you do not see that. Because if you don't see it, then that means that you're unlocking a new path that you've never been on. So that's okay. And have trust and have faith that the divine creator and yourself have mapped this out for you for a very, very purposeful reason. Nothing is without purpose.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's deeply moving. The reminder that every desire is an invitation to become more of ourselves. So, what a beautiful conversation. Ashmita reminds us that manifestation isn't about chasing outcomes, it's about embodying truth, trust, and alignment. So, tonight, don't just wish for what you want, feel it. Live as if it's already a part of you, because the real magic begins when you become because the real magic begins when your being becomes the prayer.